My name is Joy Metzler. I'm a conscientious objector, and I left the U.S. Air Force on April 25th, 2025 over my disagreement with American policy in Gaza and the Middle East. And you know, I'm out here doing exactly what I was taught to do, which is standing up for what's right. And I found out that doing what's right wasn't possible in the military anymore when we are literally funding and helping a genocide unfold against the Palestinian people. And so I left, and I encourage everybody else to consider what their service means in the greater context of things, and what you're willing to do for this grand lie that the U.S. has told to all of us. Yeah, I graduated from the Air Force Academy in 2023, and it was because of my schooling there and what I learned about international law and just war that I am where I am right now. I fully believe I'm out here trying to uphold those standards and trying to prevent what I know are actual textbook war crimes happening. And every American that's been taught this way, every officer, every enlisted person in the military should be doing the same. So we live down around Orlando, Florida, and I came out here on the 28th was my first full day, and we came out here to support the veterans and allies Fast for Gaza. I'll be out here until June 30th with the rest of these guys, and I'm on the Core Central Fasters amount of calories, so 250 or less. I'm a little hungry, but that's nothing compared to what Palestinians are going through right now, so it's not a big deal for me. Keep standing up against the genocide. It's going to take a long time, and I know a lot of us are frustrated, but you got to get out there. You have to keep speaking up about it. If we can end this a day earlier than if we didn't come out at all, if you're coming out and speaking out means it ends a day earlier, then that's worth it.
Thank you so much.
Today's day 10. We've had pretty intense bouts of hunger and being tired from expending too much energy, but we know it's just a fraction of what the Gazans go through and have been through for the past 2 years every day. And we draw strength from them for enduring all that they've endured, and now they're on day 80 and whatnot. And recently, the great nephew, I believe, of Anne Frank came out and saying that this is another genocide, this is another Holocaust, and that's right. And I heard Joy saying earlier that every day that we can end this sooner are more lives that we can save, because hundreds are being murdered every day in Palestine. And then, again, this is all for white settler colonialism and for the profit of a few, the war pigs, the war machine, and it needs to end. We have veterans here that have been protesting since Vietnam and Iraq War, and where are we now? We haven't defeated the war machine, and so we're here to say not another genocide, no more war, no more of our tax dollars going to kill other humans that are just like us. We have more in common with each other than we do with the war pigs. Free Palestine, free Sudan, free Congo, free Yemen. So we're at the U.S. mission to the UN every day from 9:30 to 3, maybe with a little bit looser regulations on the weekends, but and more people are joining us every day, and that's what we hope to see and we draw inspiration from people coming out and supporting us, because what gets lost in the mix is how the toxicity that we absorb or receive by a lot of Zionists and pro-Israeli people who are just standing there and get called terrorists and get called all sorts of things, and just this ugly demeanor. And so that's just a fraction of the hate that they're indoctrinated in since birth in schools and their families. And so we just, like I said, we just get a portion of that, and that's what's going on, and all of that anger is being projected onto the Palestinians, when the Palestinians, just like the Native Americans and just like all of the cultures and the people that white settler colonialism has exploited are just vulnerable, beautiful people that want to help, right? Like when I went to Palestine and the West Bank, and they welcomed me into their house, to their homes for iftars after Ramadan every day, and just like the indigenous did, and teaching the colonists, the pilgrims, how to survive, because otherwise we would have perished without their knowledge of the land and how to grow food. And so that's what white settler colonialism does, is it exploits and steals other resources. Why else are we in the Middle East? That's not our oil. What if that happened to us? What if another country came and depleted our resources and stole our resources and killed our people? Well, it's coming, not just because of karma, but because we've created so many enemies, and the more that we're over there and creating wars, the more enemies that we create, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, we have over, the last I checked was this morning, and we're close to 700 fasters signed up nationwide and internationally. In Australia, we have someone that's been with us since the beginning, and so a big shout out to them. But yeah, we have, and we just invite more and more people to join us, not only for the fast and in solidarity and showing the Palestinian people, because some of the messages that we do get from, some from some people in Gaza, and they feel it in their hearts, and so it's a show of solidarity for them. It's also a growing movement so that we can amplify each other's voices for all marginalized people, and have one voice and say that Palestine is the hill that we die on, Palestine is the hill that we stand on. And
God bless you.
yeah, so join us. And so from at the end of day 40, we know we have a group and we know what to do next and what our next action is, what our next movement is. And please join us in solidarity, and also in demanding that UN aid be allowed in, and not under the U.S. mercenaries that are shooting at people in cattle pens and treating people like animals, like in the Hunger Games, where they're throwing the boxes of food in the middle of starving people and not acting like people aren't going to do what they can to help out their families and themselves. And so it's just, it's a created, man-made environment, just like Gaza, the concentration camp has been and made, and just like the illegal occupation and the apartheid that has been going on since 1948, when Israel was created on top of Palestine and top of the Palestinian people, who welcomed them in with open arms, who were already living in harmony with other Jewish people and other Christian people. It is not the Muslims that are taught to hate. It is the Israelis, and they are taught racism, and they are taught songs about killing Arabs from an early age, from kindergarten age. It's not the Palestinians that do that. So yeah, join us in solidarity. We're not going to allow another genocide to keep going on. Join us in solidarity, and we have your back from Tulsa, from Hiroshima to Nagasaki to Vietnam to Baghdad, to all the millions of civilians that this war machine and the war pigs have done and continue to do. Let's end this. Let's make it our world, a world for by big-hearted people, for everyone. And yeah, it's love that wins, not pride, and not the racism that's been taught to trick us into killing each other. We have more in common with each other than the war pigs.
Okay, my name is Victoria Ross, or Victory, and the real victory, everybody wins. And of course, what's going on in, well, Yemen, as well as especially in Palestine, everybody loses. So it's just a terrible crime, genocide and war crimes that are going on, and they're not benefiting Israel. The Israeli people are not more safe for what's going on. They're very much less safe. And many people in Israel are against it, and many are actually perpetrating. So there's a big combination of all of that going on. But it's a grievous international war crimes. They're just against international law. There's a genocide convention that's being broken, and every country except for Yemen is culpable to a certain extent. At least we have South Africa has brought a case against Israel for genocide, and the international law is part of what we need. Of course, war has been illegal since 1927 and 28, then the Kellogg's-Briand Pact. So war is collective punishment, and that's what's happening, and that is a war crime just by itself, as well as proportionality, the killing of medical and aid workers. These are all war crimes, and they're all happening. Of course, also the U.S. has made many, many war crimes as well. So, but it doesn't change the need. In fact, it just makes it even more important that we have to stop this violence and stop the genocide, stop the war crimes, and stop the merchants of death, which are a lot of U.S. corporations that are making big money off of this. They're the only people who benefit, and they will lose in the end as well, one way or another.
About that,
I'm from Buffalo, but I came here just for a couple of days. But I have joined the fast. I started at the beginning, so we're on day 10. So we do have 250 calories a day, which is helpful, and it'll be but it's still what they call a starvation diet. And I mean, I have a little bit of fat to live off of, but most of the people in Palestine do not. So they are suffering so much, and the average amount for 90% of Palestinians, they're getting only 250 calories a day, not getting clean water, not getting anything, not just living in the rubble and displaced, many injured, so many losses, so many grieving, so much suffering. It's very terrible. So we just have to stop it some way or another. Well, because I'm very involved in the peace movement in general. So I'm associated with the Western New York Peace Center, and I know Kathy Kelly, and she certainly was she was one of the reasons I started doing it, is because Kathy is skin and bones, and I thought, if let me do it for you, is what I said to her. And when she wouldn't do that, I thought, well, if I could do it for her, then I can do it. So busy as I am, it makes it harder to do everything. That's what we know. So, but it's so important. It's just about trying to draw attention and trying to learn. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.